Welcome to the Live or Alone podcast, the podcast where two nerds who consume a whole lot of horror discuss their favorite pieces of horror media. From movies and TV shows to video games, novels, and everything in between. Because this is a spooky world, and we're just thriving in it. I'm your host, Sarah, the survivalist in your slasher friend group that will put up a lasting fight, but inevitably die because only the final girl can survive.
And I'm your host, Ian, the fearless fighter in your slasher friend group that tries to save the day but ends up dying because physical strength just doesn't win in horror.
In today's episode, we're talking about a prequel to a horror classic franchise that came out 48 years ago, with several perhaps forgettable movies in between the first and the last, The First Omen.
That was the devil.
Okay, brief synopsis for those who have not seen The First Omen yet, or just a brief synopsis in general. A woman starts to question her own faith when she uncovers a terrifying conspiracy to bring about the birth of evil incarnate in Rome. So before we kick things off and start talking about this movie, let's play a round of trivia, Creeping It Real. And for those who are unaware, we always start an episode off by playing a game that is directly related to the episode topic, and then we jump into the actual discussion. So, we're starting off with trivia. Are you ready for the trivia?
I'm ready. I got my lucky cat here.
Okay, if you are listening and not watching, Logan is here, our guest host. He's always here. Our cat. Anyway, so I have 3 questions. The first question is, this movie was submitted for a rating 4 times before it was finally given an R rating instead of an NC-17 rating. This is due to one scene being particularly disturbing. What scene was it?
Vagina.
Okay. Yes. I'm glad that you very vividly, clearly remember the birthing scene.
Oh, that's what they call it, the birthing scene? Yeah, that shit was wild.
It's not called the vagina scene.
That shit was wild. Sure. When I saw that shit, I was like, what the fuck? That shit hurt me.
Yeah, that was an intense and really long scene. Okay, you got that one right. Second question, how long has it been, pay attention to the detail here, how long has it been since the last Omen movie?
It has been 13 years.
No. Really close, though.
16 years.
You're very close. It's 18 years.
Shit.
The last one was in 2006. And the last question, true or false, the plot of this film contradicts the plot of the original film?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, you're absolutely right. Do you know how, or do you remember the details on how it contradicts?
Because there's supposed to be one devil, and this one there was 2.
Okay.
Devil. 2, it was supposed to be one bad omen child, and this one is 2. If I didn't spoil it for you.
I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're down to get spoilers because we talk in depth about whatever horror that we're talking about. So it is true, and very specifically, I've got a little detail here. In the movie, Maggie discovers a secret society inside the Holy Church who are involved in a conspiracy to bring the Antichrist, aka Damien, into the world. Their idea is to control him, and in doing so, force the human race to return to Christianity. It subverts the main plot of the original trilogy, Damien, that's the one from 1978, and The Final Conflict, which is the one from 1981, where it was established that Damien's birth is the ultimate plan of Satan, supported by a Satanist cult, to set up Hell's realm on Earth. I got that from IMDb, by the way.
That shit is crazy.
So, it very much so contradicts.
Yeah, that's just crazy because, I don't know if we're going into the episode now, but it's so crazy because it's like, the people that don't believe, that in order to believe in God, you have to believe in the devil.
Yeah.
And they went full force and let the devil have the child.
Yeah.
So that people could start believing in God again.
So
the devil needs to be around for God to be around. It's so fucking freaky.
Isn't that so... It's such a weird and interesting... And yes, we can jump into the episode here. But it's such a weird take on kind of the classic...
Good versus evil?
Good versus evil, but also when we watch a lot of these religious horror movies...
They try to stop that shit from happening.
Yeah, it's kind of like the opposite perspective. It's making you want to believe in God because you're seeing all of this evil shit happen. Whereas in this one, a lot of the evil is coming from the humans because they're purposely inciting this.
And I like how they didn't think that the audience was stupid. Like that there's like a secret society.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to say like pinpoint like Catholics or whatever, but there's some kind of shit going on that if something goes bad, it gets covered up.
Yeah.
Like remember with the that show was called Spotlight, and they were covering it up, and then later on they were switching like say a minister or whatever gets fired, they switch houses.
Yeah.
They switch churches.
Yeah, basically one massive cover up that happens across the board with so many. It's like a massive system, and they understand that happens. Like it really does happen, and so they're playing in on that in the movie, which is clever, pretty fucked up because this is like a real life situation. But I think that's what makes it all the more scary, right? I think that's what we love about horrors is when they are just a touch too close to reality that you really feel it and it resonates. Yeah. To backtrack just a little bit, why did we pick this piece of content to talk about? First of all, we very recently saw it. It came out this year in 2024, and it was actually one of the top horrors that everybody was talking about. Obviously, it has a lot associated with it. It's got a lot of rep associated with it. But what's your backstory with The Omen and just the series, watching it in general?
So I saw the original one.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really interested in it because I was like, this little motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could just grab him and kill him. Like, what's so scary about him? Like, I never really like got into it like that.
Yeah.
I think my mom and my parents were all like, always like, how the movie's scary and how that he's a devil and that could really happen because he was like killing people, like forcing them to kill themselves. So but it was like kind of corny to me, like how are you making somebody go and jump off a thing, like can't they stop themselves, you know what I mean? Like it was just too like far-fetched for me. Like if there's a slasher coming after you're running for your life, but now there's somebody just making you jump up on a thing that somebody could just grab you and pull you down from jumping off a roof, so you're like, what?
Yeah.
So I didn't really get like the craziness. Like I didn't really care for it.
Yeah, I think me too. It doesn't help that it was made in a time where just like the production and creating a horror movie is so cheesy. So it really plays into like you not believing it. It's something very interesting with horror, right? Because if we're talking about horror, religious horror, or supernatural horror, whatever it may be, you're already coming into it with skepticism. So if you produce a horror movie and you're trying to get people to believe something like this, it doesn't really help if that it's cheesy. So I also don't remember much about the original movie. To be fair, it came out a long ass time ago,
70s?
so I must have watched it by chance one day, not for like any particular reason. So it's not really memorable for me, but surely it's memorable for the generation before us.
Yeah, because I think the number one religious movie was The Exorcist.
Yeah.
That was like everybody's watching that shit because it's that one, like the crazy shit that she was doing, then you got scared.
Yeah.
Because you're like, you didn't want your body to be possessed.
Yeah.
This one, it was like some kid and he just gave you like this weird look and then you're just like, okay.
It was more subtle.
Yeah.
So it didn't really pack a punch for us young kids watching it for the very first time, probably like during regular daytime hours when they're showing it on channel 11 or something.
Yeah.
And they censor it.
But this fucking movie completely flipped it around.
Yes.
Because I shit myself in this movie.
This one, not gonna lie, was pretty damn impressed. Again, it helps when you have a really good production, and the production in this movie was so freaking good. Let's start with the cinematography, right? It really took us back to the 70s.
They would zoom out and like move the way the camera moved, like moving around the town. It looked like a kind of like a drone, but the way that the filter was, you're like, wow. It looked like 70s.
Yeah.
Like super 70s.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's playing in on the 70s vibe, which is kind of cheesy in a way, but because it's so high quality, the cameras are just different and better nowadays, it looks better, and you know that they're playing in on that, so it makes it all the more clever. And the kind of old, grainy, the saturation on the colors and all of that, it was just really, really nostalgic, and I love that, because if you're going to do a movie that was supposed to come out before the original, and the original one came out 48 years ago, it's better that you're making it more realistic in that sense.
Yeah, it wasn't like corny with like they dressed up, went to that party, remember, and they had like 70s clothes, They didn't like make it like too like corny with the cinematography with the 70s stuff.
Yeah.
It worked. It wasn't like, oh, this is the 70s. Here's a 70s car. Here's the 70s.
Yes. They didn't take the audience for granted. They didn't think that the audience would be stupid, so they would throw in a bunch of cheesy 70s stuff, and they're like, all right, well, it's the 70s. They really paid attention to the details, to the history, because there is history and politics involved in this movie as well,
Mm-hmm.
and they put it all in there so that you're really immersed into the 70s vibe, which I loved. And another really great thing about the production and just creating the film in general, the acting was phenomenal.
Yes.
We have to, like, give so much credit to the main character. What's her name? Nell.
Tiger Free.
Yes. She's awesome.
Yeah.
She's so scary in anything that she does that's, like, horror, which she's now kind of, like, getting into that corner where she gets stuck.
Queen.
Yeah, like, she gets stuck in horror movies because she's got that vibe down really well.
Honestly, when I saw the trailer, I was like, I don't know if this is gonna be good. And then as soon as I saw the reviews, I was like, holy shit! All right, we gotta watch the shit.
Yeah.
She did something.
Yeah, it's fair, and it's also fair to be like, it's a prequel and it's coming out this many years later. You just already feel skeptical about it because, well, I hate prequels, I hate sequels, I hate all of that. Let's tack on more movies to like a story. I hate that,
Yeah,
but
they're gonna do it though.
I know they're gonna do it, and this one was done really, really well.
But she knows what she's doing. I thought that it was gonna be like, oh, she's gonna do Servant again, like act like Servant, but it was completely like different.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, she's really good.
Yeah. And
there was one scene.
The nun.
What scene was it? Oh yeah, wait, she was in the nun.
No, she was dressed up as a nun.
Oh yeah,
she was
yeah.
a nun going to be
But there was one scene where she was outside. I think this was the point where she was losing her mind in the movie. And that sequence was so freaking scary. She wasn't doing anything absurdly bizarre, but the way that her body was moving and the way that her face expressions were, I was legit scared.
Wait, did they kidnap her and impregnate her?
I think so. Well, they were trying to get her the entire time, right?
Oh yeah, that was the whole thing, that whenever they impregnated her, it wasn't 9 months. Like, she automatically got pregnant.
Yeah.
I think that the night that she was dancing in the 70s shit, the disco or whatever.
Yes.
That's when they got her, because they took her out to go drink.
Right, and that's how they got her to, like,
loosen up.
Yeah, and not really pay attention. What a shitty thing to do.
And it's the own church doing that shit.
And it's the one time she decides to kind of, like, let her guard down.
And it was like they were experimenting. They were trying to see who could be able to bear the what is it? The Satan?
Yeah.
Satan's son, yeah.
Crazy.
So they were trying with women, different women were dying, and then she was the one.
It's quite the symbolism for how we treat women in society, but holy crap. Like, again, and when it's so close to reality, that makes it so much more scary. Can we take a quick nod to the religious horror and your experience with religion?
Oh, you mean like every time there's some religious thing going on, I know the whole prayer?
Well, no, that's not what I was saying. I was just saying, like, in previous episodes, you've referenced the fact that, like, you've grown up in a religious or a slightly religious home. So how do these movies hit for you?
Oh, yeah, you mean like how I had that religious thing in my room? That thing?
No.
On the wall?
See, you're opening up a whole load of Easter eggs of your origin story.
Okay.
I'm just talking about the fact... We'll talk about these two things that Ian mentioned in future episodes, but I'm just talking about the fact that you've been exposed to so much religion in your life. Like, it was embedded in your life at a young age. How do you feel about watching religious horrors?
I mean, at some points I kind of do believe it, but not in the religion. But they keep saying that in order to believe in the devil and the demons, you have to believe in God.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird, because it's like, what do I believe in? What do you want to believe in?
Does it question, like, when you watch these movies, does it question your faith?
It doesn't question my faith, but if something were to happen, I feel like in a scary way that I would run back to my faith.
Yeah.
To my old faith or whatever, because it's like, how do you fight this without going back?
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what she was doing too, because even in the movie, they were nuns, but they were going out, like, to go hang out and party because they were never gonna party again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, you're at that crossroad, like, do you want to party and not be a nun, or do you want to be a nun? So this was kind of relatable to me, this movie.
But it's also a good point to think about it in comparison to you, and probably a lot of people who have like similar backgrounds as you, is her faith got questioned when she realized what they were doing. So like Satan, yeah, that's a thing. Religion is a thing. Like, in order for you to believe in Satan, you have to believe in God. All of that, sure. She questioned her faith because of the actions that humans were taking.
Exactly.
On behalf of the religion. So it doesn't even matter if you believe in God or not. Like, her faith was taken away from her.
So at the end, she was not a nun.
Which is wild.
It's crazy because you're going to be a nun, and then they take, like, basically saying what you're saying. You're going to be a nun and believe in the religion, but the religion is making you believe in both.
Yeah, and
then doing whatever they want to do, which is what men writing like the Bible and stuff. The man is controlling her.
Yeah, it's so complicated.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's like you think it's this little story, but it's a big fucking a big fucking story.
It's so complex, and it makes you question everything. And I really like movies like that, and I like religious horror movies that are like that. So I do like religious horror. Like, I didn't come from like a strongly religious background, but I am fascinated by religion in general and the way that it makes people act a certain way or, you know, follow a certain lifestyle. So it's really interesting to see these kinds of movies, and it's really interesting to see how connected it is to everything, everything you do, not just on a personal level, but at a societal level. So these are very fun to watch.
It wasn't like throwing the religion on you. Even though she was like the nun or whatever, a nun, and she was like doing this in school and this and this, it wasn't like throwing it on you, but it was like, you better believe, otherwise this shit's gonna you know what I mean?
Don't they say though that like all of these religious horrors are basically just marketing for Christianity?
Yeah, they say that. So it's like,
it kind of is.
If you don't believe in it could happen in real life. What are you gonna do if it happens in real life?
Yeah. That's the question, isn't it?
So it fucking hits you, you're like, oh shit. That's why like you're asking me these questions right now. It's like,
you're having what is the word? You're having a crisis?
Yeah,
Identity crisis?
when I see these movies, I'm like, I know that prayer. Maybe that prayer will come in handy if some devil shit happens.
I know, right? It's crazy.
And I repeat the prayer and I'm just like, fuck.
Well, at least between the two of us, if some shit was to go down and it was just the two of us, you'll know all of the things to recite. I wouldn't know jack shit.
Alright, so we should talk about the gory shit kind of horror. Like, what kind of horror was this? I would say it's religious. It was very fucking gory. That shit was good.
It was pretty gory, yeah.
And it was it kind of nasty too? Like, nasty shit was happening? Yeah, well, I would say gory, nasty shit. With the vagina shit.
I mean, I think
bloody.
I think the scariest parts of this movie was, of course, the whole religious thing that we talked about. It's just like, it's so close to reality. That's like the overlying horror. There were also a couple of like gory stuff, like when the car ran into the wall and basically cut that dude in half.
Yeah, they added gory shit, but not to like,
not too much.
Yeah, not to make you like, definitely to make you freak out, but not to just throw it in there for like blood.
Yeah, it's more on the subtle side. Like, we were talking about the original one in comparison to The Exorcist, which is very in your face. But I really enjoyed the really effective, gross stuff. The very small handful that was in this movie. Like I said, the car scene, the scene with Nell when she's, you know, contorting and losing her mind, the birthing scene.
Yeah.
That was
nasty.
I think I may have looked away a few times because I was so disturbed. Very visceral. That's probably the best word to use for the gory stuff in this movie, is visceral.
I think it was weird. It was weird in this one because there was kids around there when it happened. So all the kids saw it happen. So you were just like, oh shit.
So gross.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the dislikes. Do we have dislikes?
Well, you always dislike a movie when it's over 2 hours, so that's...
I mean...
I don't know if it's 2 hours.
Was it 2 hours? It probably was. These days, all
movie.
of these damn movies are over 2 hours. I don't understand why. It's not necessary. But moving on.
It was long, but it was every minute of it was good. It wasn't like one of those... It wasn't one of those movies that drag on or suck in the third act and stuff like that, or second act.
Yeah, you're right.
It was good throughout.
It didn't need to be that long, though.
Yeah. I would say the dislike is the kind of like wrapping up at the end where she has two of them, and one of them they stole one of them, right? At the end or something, they stole Damien.
I think so.
Yeah, they came in. I think they stole Damien, and she has the daughter now. So now she's trying to go get her son or something like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it is contradicting the original one.
Yeah. So now you got to redo the whole.
Yeah, it's kind of like.
Let's open up a new franchise.
It sucks because if you're going to take a movie, if you're going to make a new movie and it stems off of the original movie, don't make those mistakes.
I mean, I guess they could because it was such a long time ago, and you don't know if she's there, if she had the twin daughter, so they could just add her in there. But I'm like, is this gonna be fucking Marvel now, where the daughter fights is good and the son they both like devil? I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna go as far as Marvel. I don't think they're gonna make 30 movies out of it. They sure will try to revamp the franchise, which is what we see a lot with horror movies that we grew up with, right? We're seeing like those series become revamped and they take on a new tale, so it now spins off to a new generation. So that's probably what's going to happen. And you're right. Because the first movie came out so long ago, people like us probably can't remember the fine-tuned details, so it doesn't even matter. So I guess that's fair to say. I think another dislike that I have is why the hell, well, we just talked about it, but why the hell did it take so long to make a prequel?
Yeah. I guess
48 years?
I guess they were waiting for this to get the right story.
Were they waiting for Nell to
grow up?
To be born and grow up and become a great horror actress?
They were waiting for Nell's vagina.
Ew.
No, but in actuality though, it did take long to do this shit. But I think it was good that it came out at a good time. It was
48 years though.
It was worth it, yeah. But I mean 2006 subtract what was that? 18?
I mean it was it was 16. No, it was 18.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah, I mean 18 years even. That's a whole ass adult right there. 18 years. That's a very, very long amount of time. If you're trying to get somebody to follow along, that's too much.
The thing is now, when they do make a sequel, because they're probably gonna try to cash on it, because this one did good. I'm like, what's gonna happen? They're just gonna fight each other? Is it gonna be gory? Are they gonna tell people what to do? It's gonna be weird.
I'm sure they've got something up their sleeves.
I hope they don't ruin it. 20 years later, and then go to the 80s, and then they're gonna start doing 80s shit now.
I guess it really depends on who takes the lead on the next series of these movies, because whoever did this one, and I can't recall who did this one, the director, the producer, and all of that, but if it stays with them, then maybe it'll be really good, because this one was good.
Yeah.
It was good. Like, overall, really, really fantastic movie, and
go see it.
I think, yeah. Alright, so we will end this off with a question to the audience. Like always, we pose a question at the end of every episode, and we post it on Instagram as part of like a discussion post. So after you listen, or right now as you're listening, pull up our Instagram, Live or Alone Pod, and you're going to see a discussion post with this question. What are your thoughts on prequels? Do we like prequels? Do we like them over sequels? Do we like them over requels? Because apparently requels are a thing now. You all know my thoughts. I hate them. I hate them all.
I'll be like this one now.
Generally speaking, I hate them all. Ian, you're probably a little bit.
I'm open for anything. If a movie's good, it's good.
Fair. So fair. I'm just a bitter asshole. But let us know your thoughts on Instagram, once again, on Live or Alone Pod. And thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you liked today's episode and you want to hear more from us, do us a favor and follow us on social. So once again, it's Live or Alone Pod. That's on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. On YouTube, by the way, we do uncut episodes, visual. So if you like watching podcasts, you can find us there. I did see a comment that people really appreciated us being on YouTube, having our episodes there, because they don't, subscribe to Spotify and all the other stuff. So I'm glad y'all appreciate the uncut episodes there.
Share it with your friends.
Do that as well. And tune in next Wednesday, because we're going to be talking about a summer horror classic. I kind of hyped this one up in our season premiere, but I know what you did last summer. But for now, we'll see you in the kitchen with a knife.